I just think that Kelly is priming for a big breakout. He has only 2 fewer targets than Austin Ekeler.
Right here.
What's up and welcome to the Fantasy Whisperers channel. Before we get you to your video, I just want to say if you are new to our channel, welcome. And hopefully you'll consider hitting that subscribe and hitting that bell. All right, let's get you to that video.
We're going to talk about the Los Angeles Chargers here as they host the Carolina Panthers. Maybe the biggest storyline here has not too much to do with fantasy football and the fact that the Los Angeles Chargers doctor tried to kill Tyrod Taylor by injecting him with a rib, with a rib injection to try and ease the pain, and punctured his lung, and then he had to go to the hospital. So he will not be playing this week. And so what this means is we've got the Herbert versus the Tyrod dynamic in this offense, and it literally has changed. 1 game sample size for each, so we don't really know. But I think we have an idea, Johnny, of how this is going to work with Justin Herbert compared to Tyrod Taylor. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so they came out and said Herbert will be the starter. I'm excited to see what he can do. Obviously, Carolina is not the best defense, so am I starting Herbert this week in a 2-quarterback league? Yeah, I'll fire him up. But in a single quarterback league, no, I want to see it again before. And also, there's not a long term. I guess I wouldn't even stream him at that point. But I will say last week he came out, he moved this offense, he made this offense look like the old Chargers offense, and you're looking at what he did for these running backs. He made Ekeler actually look like a good running back again. And then the big surprise here, Joshua Kelly, who comes in, gets 50% of the snaps, but more importantly is taking all of the red zone carries. He had 11, and Ekeler only had 4. So and then if you're going inside the 5, Kelly had all of them. So I just think that Kelly is priming for a big breakout. He has only 2 fewer targets than Austin Ekeler, and I think that fantasy owners throughout halfway through this season are going to be very disappointed that they drafted Ekeler. He'll still get volume, but
I don't know if I agree 100%. Only if Herbert is able to start for an extended period of time, then I would actually be okay with where you took Ekeler in his production, because you'd mentioned the 3 targets, 5 to 3 targets, how Kelly has got that. But those 3 targets are mostly from that game 2 with Herbert. So you did see Ekeler get back into his receiving role with Herbert in the offense. I actually think in this spot, facing the 32 ranked defense in the NFL right now, you're starting both of these guys with pretty much good confidence that both can get it done in a smash spot here.
Yeah, I definitely
kicking it over though. Yeah, go for it.
Well, I definitely think you do start both of these guys, but I would sell high on Ekeler after this game because you mentioned the 5 targets, but if you're saying that he's not going to get the red zone carries and he's only going to get 5 touches or 10 touches a game, that's
essentially what he did last year with Melvin Gordon back. So I don't know if it's terrible if Herbert can stay that consistent. I know it's 1 game, so maybe you don't buy the rookie getting it done for an extended period of time. That's fine. I understand that. I want to talk about the wide receiving core though, Johnny. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams have basically flip-flopped each game. With Tyrod Taylor, it seemed to be the Mike Williams show. With Justin Herbert, it seemed to be the Keenan Allen show.
Yeah, so if in this game I'm starting Keenan Allen, I think that he's seeing 25% of this team's market share, and he's going to see Jeremy Chin as the corner that should be lined up mostly against him, and he should take advantage of that all day long. Keenan Allen has value as long as Justin Herbert is the quarterback. Mike Williams, he's very fun to watch. He's very talented, but Herbert just isn't taking the shots down the field that Tyrod did. He only saw 4 targets, Mike Williams, this past week. And so you see a huge dip. And then you also look at the matchup. Razel Douglas should be, matched up against him, and that's not a good matchup for BMW. So I would bench BMW if I had him on my team.
I haven't.
We're good with and we're good with starting Keenan Allen. We like what we see there. Hunter Henry, though, Johnny, we're definitely going to fire him up as well,
Oh,
correct?
I love Hunter Henry here. If there's any guy that you are definitely starting on this team this week, it would be Hunter Henry. He's got the best matchup for tight ends, according to Pro Football Focus, and he's also got Shaq Thompson that is supposed to be lined up against him, and he will straight up feast on that all day long. And so Herbert, actually, the big question was like, oh, is Hunter Henry going to get targets if the rookie comes in? And we actually saw Hunter Henry get the second most targets in this game. He had 6, and Keenan Allen had 7. So you see him as a safety blanket. Hunter Henry is actually, I also think, is a buy low right now because not a lot of people are talking about him. And he just hasn't had, that big, huge breakout touchdown game or whatever, but it's coming.
All right, so moving on to the Carolina Panthers, who were devastated with the CMC injury this week. They watched as CMC has been diagnosed with 4 to 6 weeks. He's, of course, taken this as a personal challenge, wants to come back sooner. Saw Saquon come back sooner last year from the same injury. So the hot waiver ad this week, or one of them, has been Mike Davis. There's been some talk on fantasy football Twitter of Curtis Samuel getting involved, and then Reggie Bonifant getting back into the mix as well. So I want to know what's going on there. So Johnny, I guess we'll start there. Mike Davis, Reggie Bonifant, CMC, Curtis Samuel, all this thing going on here. How do you shake this out?
Yeah, so Mike Davis is the guy that I would roll with here if you have to do a spot start. You don't feel great about it. The LA Chargers are actually pretty solid against the run. So I would actually... You're going to roll him out there if you need him, right? Because there was a lot of people who it was a bloodbath last week. So if you need Mike Davis this week, he should be pretty solid. Carolina's running backs are averaging 1.66 yards before contact. This is number 1 in the league. Now, obviously, a big part of that is because CMC is the running back there, and he's talented. But Mike Davis, we saw what he can do. He had 8 targets in the game, which was really interesting because CMC wasn't being targeted very much by DJ Moore or by Teddy Bridgewater, but Mike Davis got a lot of those touches. So that's where I would roll on the running back side if I'm going anywhere in this game.
Well, okay, so in this one, it seems to be the Chargers' strength is probably in the pass defense versus the rush defense. So Johnny, how are you feeling? Is Robby Anderson the truth? Is this a real thing? And then DJ Moore, you're probably rolling out for sure.
Yeah, I actually think that speaking of a buy low candidate right now, I think that DJ Moore is also a really big buy low candidate right now. Look, this guy he's ran 94% of this team's routes. He's been targeted on 24% of this team's or he's getting 24% market share. His average depth of target is 12.6. And in the red zone, he's getting 50% of the end zone targets. So he just hasn't come down with them, unfortunately. So I think that will get corrected. So DJ Moore, I'm playing him in this. I have confidence in him in this game. Robby Anderson, Mr. Anderson to all of us here, as we like to say on the show. I think that he's been fun to watch, and I think that continues. I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to have to continue to be developed in order to get that confidence to go deep more often. But you're looking at what he's doing, and he's producing for fantasy owners. He's sporting a 10.9 average depth of target, and he's doing damage after the catch as well with the 6.1 yards after yak, as we like to say. So I like that.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Whisperers podcast. You can hear more from John and Travis on Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TF Whisperers.